Hello everybody, this is the introduction of chapter 5, which is polynomials. We're going to learn what polynomials are, the parts of polynomials, and how to write them in descending order. First, let's talk about the definition of polynomials. Okay, first of all, they are variable expressions that involve subtraction, addition, or multiplication, but never division. Here's an example of one, 3x squared minus 7x plus 8. Notice it doesn't have an equal sign because it's a variable expression, right? This polynomial has three terms, as you can see clearly here. 3x squared, negative 7x, and 8. So these terms can be listed here. 3x squared, right? The second term is negative 7x. Remember that every term has a sign located to its left. So the second term is not 7x, but negative 7x. And finally 8 is the third term. Also, this polynomial has a couple of coefficients, right? 3 and negative 7. Simply because these two numbers are the ones that multiply the variables. So 3 is the first coefficient and the second one would be negative 7. Because 8 looks lonely without variables, then 8 is a constant. Finally, the terms containing variables of the polynomial also have exponents, and these exponents particularly must be whole numbers, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on. So what are the exponents of these polynomials? Okay, we can clearly identify them as 2 and invisible 1, right? So we can also list the exponents here, would be 2 and 1. So these are the parts of a polynomial: terms, coefficients, constants, and exponents. What would be the parts of these polynomial? Okay, so first the terms, right? We have 2. So easy, that'll be simply these two, negative 8a to the 4th power and 3/5. Perfect. The coefficients, do we have any coefficients? Yes, negative a is the one that is multiplying the variable a. So we have only one coefficient. Any constant? Yes, we do have a constant, right? Which is this simply fraction of this amount that is not multiplying any variable. And finally, exponents. We have only one, right? Which is this one here. So we have 4. When the terms of a polynomial are organized in descending order, we say that the polynomial is written in standard form. This polynomial is written in standard form because it's also arranged in such a way that the exponents are the biggest first and the smallest the last. Now, is this new polynomial written in standard form? No, it is not, simply because notice that the exponents are not in the correct order. In order for us to write this polynomial in standard form, all we need to do is to commute the terms in such a way that the order now appears in descending order. For example, here it'll be, the first one should be negative 5b to the 7th. This is the highest exponent first. Then the next one will be what? 3/4 b cubed. But it is positive. You don't see it there, but you know it's positive. So it's 3/4 b to the 3rd power, and the constant, it's okay where it is. So as you can see here, this polynomial is now written in standard form. In this last exercise, we are asked to write this polynomial first in ascending order and then in standard form. So first in ascending order, all we need to do is to commute these terms. So here we go. Ascending order first. So from smallest to biggest. Okay, what's the smallest power here? The smallest term seems to be negative 7x, right? So we will write it like this. In ascending order, it would be negative 7x. What would be the next? The next biggest would be x squared, and it's positive. This one here, so it's x squared, right? The next one would be negative 5x to the 3rd power, and finally 4 x to the 6. See how easy this is? So this polynomial that we just wrote is not written in standard form but in ascending order. If we want to write this polynomial in standard form, again, all we need to do is reverse process. Okay, it'll be the biggest first, so 4x to the 6. The next one would be, of course, negative 5x cubed, then x squared, which is positive, and finally negative 7x. So this one below, it's written in standard form. So let's summarize what we learned today. Polynomials are variable expressions that involve addition, subtraction, and multiplication, never division. Polynomials have terms, coefficients, constants, and whole number exponents, as we learned. And finally, we can commute the terms of a polynomial if we want to write it in ascending or descending order. Last example. To write this polynomial in standard form, we must first identify the highest power, right? Which is z to the third power. Here we go. So this, the first term then is negative 6. This is the first one we have to write down here. So negative 6z cubed. Then the next one would be this one, right? 4z squared, and it's positive, so we write 4z to the second power. Then the next one would be positive 5z, so we write it 5z, and finally negative 11, which is our constant. Okay, that's all, folks.